Hi, nothingness. What is this nothingness? According to the scientist and the materialist, physicists, in the beginning there was nothing, and some random quantum fluctuations happened, and space-time began. That's what they essentially call as the Big Bang. From nothing, something just suddenly started. The space-time started. The matter formed on later. So that's what the Big Bang theory is. That was an initial explosion and things started, right? So, but here is the thing. I mean, this theory is okay, but we need to understand this in depth. We need to understand what exactly was there before something, some explosion happened, before the Big Bang happened. So they say that there was initially in the beginning this nothing. So what is this nothingness? And then we really have to understand this nothingness as a concept. And maybe we will stumble into something really, really interesting and mysterious, and that could actually lead into the nature of reality. That could lead us into getting an insight into the nature of reality itself. So let's say, for example, imagine, just want to close your eyes for a couple of seconds and just try to imagine what was there in the beginning, before anything happened, before the Big Bang happened, before. So I just want to imagine that nothingness which was there in the beginning, before the beginning. Okay, just close your eyes, and when I close your eyes, I'm trying to imagine nothingness. What is that you see? Are you seeing some space, some dark thing? Because obviously light wasn't there yet, so it has to be something. So what exactly do you see when you close your eyes and when you try to imagine nothingness? Now here is the thing. Whatever you see, it's not that. It's not nothingness. Because nothingness is, by definition, is something that is non-existing. Nothing. Nothingness is something that doesn't have any existence. There is no way you can perceive it. There is no way you can even imagine it. There is no way you can even see it. There is no way you can, perceive it. Nothingness means, by definition, a thing that has no existence, and it also has no quality or property by which it could exist. So many people think that space is nothingness, but it's not true. It's not true. Even science says that, right? Einstein called it as a space time. He made it a thing. He conceived it as a thing, and then he made all his theory around the space time theory and everything, and it's a dimension. It's clearly something that exists. So when we say there is nothing in the room, let's say a room is empty, there is no furniture in the room, there's nothing in the room, it doesn't mean that there's nothing in the room. There's empty space. There's the room itself is there. The space is there. Like this is right. This is, let's say this is a point A, this is point B, and what is there in between these two, point A and B, point B? The answer is simple. The space is there. If there is no space, this will be together, because space is what's separating these 2 points. So space is clearly thing. There is no doubt about it, right? Even the Indian philosophy considered it as one of the 5 elements, 5 panchabhuta: space, water, air. You know that earth. So it's been a common knowledge to us that space is something. So obviously, when space is something, you can call it nothing. So when I say there are no apples, it just means the absence of apples, not the absence of everything. There is something else there besides apple. There is empty space there. There is just the empty basket there, or something like that. So that is what we have to understand. So when we are talking about nothingness, we are imagining it into something. We are making it into a thing. This is a language mistake. When we talk about nothing, there is nothing. There is no one there. I mean, so we're still making that. We are talking about as if everything is absence. No. So in the beginning of the universe, or at the beginning of the universe, if you're saying there is nothing, How can that nothing exist? Because it is something by definition doesn't exist. So stop imagining that nothingness. In the beginning there was no nothingness. So that leaves us with eternal existence. Because of this logical error that is formed by the language we are using. It's like unicorn. When you say unicorn exists only as a thought, as an idea. It doesn't really exist in the reality. The same way, when we are talking about in the beginning there was nothing, we are making it into a thing. So that makes existence a forever thing. Existence is the only thing that exists, and this nothingness, it never existed, and it has no meaning at all, and it has no property by which it could exist. There's no way you can see it, there's no way you can perceive it, there's no way you can touch it, because it's nothing. If it is something, you can touch it. If it's nothing, you can't even touch it, you can't see it, you can't even perceive it. So to say that there was nothing in the beginning is itself a very big logical error. This kind of thought process, a thought experiment, is very important to understand who you are, in the sense that, because at least for me it was really helpful. One day I was like thinking, like some voice, it's, I don't know, it's like its own mind or voice, like what was there in the beginning, what was there in the beginning, and says nothing is something that cannot exist. And then something, it's like it was an enlightening moment. It was a very insightful moment for me. It's like, oh, if nothing is something that exists, there is something, it has always existed. And that is what Sat is also actually about. Satchitananda, you have heard the Satchitananda. They say it's the truth. The Sat doesn't mean exactly means what the truth, like roses are red, violets are violet. It's not that kind of truth. Truth simply means, in this context, existence. Uniki. In our language we say uniki, and Sat means something that always existed and that will always exist, and it has no death. I mean, time has death, maybe time will end, but this thing will not. And that's what they were trying to say, that this is something that forever in its existence. And what that could be, you can call it as X. Maybe it's the consciousness or something else, but as some absolute awareness. You don't know, we don't know what it is yet, but there is something that it always existed. There is no prior to that, because the prior, which is absence or which is complete nothingness, and it's a theoretically flawed concept. Nothingness is a flawed idea of the human mind. It's because of the language thing, you're imagining it, you are bringing it into existence by imagining it into some dark space, but that dark space is not nothingness. As I said, space cannot be nothing, right? So this is very important, at least for a spiritual person, to think about what was there in the beginning. And so, because it will get the mind out of this materialist trap, the physicality trap, that there's nothing and something and all these things. So I'll also show you this picture of the Big Bang theory. Maybe there were limitations in drawing this picture, but I'll just project you there. So if you're looking at this picture, you see that universe is like a funnel. When the Big Bang started, and then was the explosion, and the universe started expanding. The space is also expanding within the universe, but you also see a lot of black thing outside of this universe, outside of this funnel. This funnel is the universe, okay? Expanding universe, because the universe is always expanding, at least that's what they say. So there is this black thing outside the universe, and what is it? It can't be nothing, right? There's something. There is the space in which the universe itself is expanding. Space, universe. If you think about space, universe as space time entity, there is something in which this is expanding. And what is that thing? And how did that thing come into existence? What is that thing? If it is nothing, but if it is nothing, you're clearly showing it as space. What is that thing that is when you, let's say for example, when you go to the end of the universe, then let's say for example, you are going to the end of the universe and there is nothing. outside of it. There's a point like you he really hit the wall of the universe, like this is it. And if there is this wall, really hypothetically speaking, if this wall is there, and something has to be outside of that wall, the other side of the wall, right? And if there is something, and then you cannot say that it is nothing. So this whole physical representation of the universe as the beginning from nothingness is complete bullshit if you really understand the concept of nothingness. So space is, even if you say that the universe is expanding, there has to be something in which this whole thing has to happen, right? And that thing is what else can it be? It can only be space. So you are saying that space is there in the beginning? No, you can't say that also. Space is something that formed with the universe. That is something we have to get it straight, at least according to the Big Bang theory. Space was not there. This thing was not there in the beginning. So there's nothing. So what gave the space to the universe so that it could expand? That's another thing we have to consider. So it leads to complete a logical error if you think about this. I don't know how the physicists and many prominent physicists, quantum physicists, and all these people, and how do they actually miss this very simple thing? Why do they bring the thing called nothingness into a dialogue, even, because it's not a thing. Key points here, I think, I'm trying to say are, if universe is expanding, and if universe is expanding, what is that in which this universe is expanding? What is outside? What is the boundaries? What are the boundaries of the universe must exist, right? Because if it is expanding, at some point it ceases to exist. And what is there adjoining it? If there is something else out there beside it, it's clearly some other thing. And if something is there, you cannot call it the end. So it will always be an eternal space, or an eternal existence. Something is there. So clearly think about this, and then maybe, yeah, just think about nothingness. But when you think about nothingness, understand whatever you're thinking about nothingness is not nothingness. As I said, it is, by definition, it doesn't exist. It doesn't exist at all. There's no nothingness. That leaves us with only one thing, that is an existence. So that is a logical conundrum, or logical dilemma, or logical error that you have to solve in your mind to understand the true spiritual nature of truth, which is something, but it's definitely just there. It is not something that has begun out of nothing. It's just there, that's it. And it is from which the universe is there. Maybe universe is formed, I don't know, but we can't just say. But this logical error has to be corrected within yourself. Yeah.